Hello there everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you very much for joining me today and welcome to another video describing what we're going to be seeing over the month of April when it comes to Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. Now I know that you guys would normally expect this video to come out on a Monday, but with the community stream being cancelled and instead us being given all of the in-game news in-game, and it came out like 2 AM UK time, so I was very much asleep when this happened and then we had the maintenance, so I had to wait a little while before I could get all the information so that I could tell you guys what was going to happen, as I didn't actually know myself. So if you guys want to see what's coming up all across April, and I'm going to go into a little bit of extra detail for anything that's happening this week, for anyone who's wanting to know where the weekly video is going to be as well, then stay tuned and keep on watching. As always guys, don't forget to check out all of the social media links in the description box below, including my Twitter, my Twitch, which we've been streaming loads of recently. I've actually been streaming pretty much every day since all this quarantine stuff started, so if you want to come and join me on there for some more of the Vision, some Opera Omnia. I've actually been looking at playing some more of the Lions, and I've never actually played FF Tactics before, despite it being one of my favourite, or Orlando at the very least being one of my favourite characters in every other representation he's had, then definitely come and check that out. And of course my Patreon page is in the description box below as well, where you can acquire a bespoke title card made just for you to be put at the end of all of my videos. And with every video I also shout out a random patron as well, so that you guys can get a bit more recognition for your very, very much appreciated support. And today that patron is going to be Barker Shift, who is also a content creator actually for different things related to Final Fantasy, so definitely go and check his channel out as well if you'd like to know anything more about him. Thank you ever so much for your support, and of course don't forget to check out all of the other Opera Omnia content creators out there as well, as they appreciate everything that you do, as you would do for me, for themselves as well. Now before we go into the events themselves, we've actually had a really helpful piece of quality of life update that we've all been looking for quite a while, and it's the ability to select more than one person in your friends list or your follow list, etc. You can select up to 20 and then remove or unfollow or follow all of them at the same time. It doesn't sound like much, but I know, at least from personal experience, because I know quite a lot of people within the community, I'm constantly having to sort of update my friends list and things like that, so this ability is so appreciated. And I don't know if you guys have noticed as well while playing the game, but I think that April Fool's joke was meant to come in tomorrow, but I think it might already be in the game now. So obviously with the picture that's on my right hand side here, then you can kind of gather what I'm getting at with this, but I'm sure if you go looking for it, you might actually find this out for yourself. So at the end of the maintenance, we actually got a brand new event today, which is very cool, and I've actually gone through the majority of this already, which is the Abyss Normalis. Now I actually think this is the best version of Abyss that we've had, because the last one was all like you had to have FF7 characters. The first one you had to switch your team up every 5 seconds, whereas this one you get sort of 3 strata and it's permanent, so it's more like Dimensions End and encourages you to have a wide variety of characters, so different things in different strata or areas on the map, if you will. Restrict different things, so some of them allow you to only bring certain types of weapons, some of them only allow you to bring certain types of crystal colours, things like that. So you're gonna want to have a look around and what characters you have of every weapon type, every crystal colour, things like that, so that you can be able to go through all the different strata. Now these say that they only go up to Cosmos difficulty at this time, however at the end of the 3rd strata, once you finish the Cosmos and it says that you have actually finished the strata, so you could continue past it, there is actually a Chaos mission. And from this mission, like from this part of the strata at least, you can't use anyone that has a sword. And the character that I wanted to use for this most was actually Yuri, which really annoyed me, because I wanted somebody to go with Edge and Kryl, because those two are so perfect together, but I wanted somebody that had like health regen, but could still deal damage, because Kryl's damage is like, it's not that great. So I kind of wanted to do that, and you know, there's a lot of characters that you could use for this. I mean, you could use Aranea, although I believe that one of the waves actually resists ranged attacks, so you have to be careful of using Aranea for that. But you could use her if you take an Imperialer with her, because the second wave is those really annoying sort of the Skull Wizards from Alize's Lost Chapter that put up shields and elemental resistances just out of nowhere, so you do have to kind of watch out for those particular guys, because as I was using Edge and Kryl in the Cosmos, which the Cosmos missions at this point in time, when you've got realized characters, shouldn't pose too much of a problem for you. The difficulty when it comes to Abyss, and the reason it's permanent, is because it requires a lot of different characters from you. One of the characters that I did use throughout a very large portion of it, however, was Faris, and she actually did very well. Dispel and debuffs are really useful. I actually also use Sephiroth quite a lot, because a lot of the strata have like enemy speed up or party speed down as part of the restrictions on it. So a combination of Sephiroth and Leviathan really kind of mitigated that speed problem and made it so much easier to go through. So finally, a use for Sephiroth. And because I purpled Sephiroth when he came out and I kind of regretted it, and now at least I have a reason to use him and I'm happy about that. But basically, like I say, you just want to use lots of different characters, lots of different things. I'm actually probably going to wait until the next event to come up before I actually go ahead and finish the Chaos, because I kind of want to use Paladin Cecil for this. But let me know in the comments below who you plan to use for Abyss, things like that, and I'm obviously going to feature my Chaos clear for this in my Chaos roundup at the end of the week. As of tomorrow, we're actually getting a new co-op mission as well, and to kind of conclude the Spring Festival. And with the Spring Festival, what we're actually going to be getting is another shot at the EX shop, which is very cool. So if you complete the mission every day that we are given up until April 10th, then we get 10 EX tokens, which you can then trade in for any EX that's within the shop. And it's the same layout as the shop that we have for Dimensions End, so the permanent ones. That's every protagonist, whether it be from a main title or a spin-off title. In terms of recommendations for this, I'm not going to go into a massive thing about like why you should pick each and every character, but if you're relatively new to the game, then the recommendations that I would give you would be either Zack or Ishtola, because both of those characters are both extremely powerful, even to this point in time. They're really, really strong. But equally, we've got Lightning coming up at the end of the month, and we also have Ramza coming up. If you plan, however, to pull for Hope or Jack respectively, then maybe think twice about picking those characters, as while they're going to be the next ones updated, they're also, you know, if you pick them now, and this is a limited time shop, we don't know how limited time it is though. So if you're able to wait to pick those characters if they're ones that you're after, then do so. If not, then just pick whichever one is most in best accordance with you. I'm actually going to be picking Shantotto, because the only two characters in that shop that I don't have are Shantotto and Zidane, and I plan to pull for Keese. So I won't be going for anybody else because there's no one else for me to pick. But there are actually quite a lot of decent characters in there. Onion Knight's a good shout. Paladin Cecil's actually a really good shout as well. If you're going in for the Vayne banner and you don't already have Vayne, then perhaps consider, or if you already have Vayne and you don't necessarily want to go in for Paladin Cecil as well, you could perhaps consider him, because as I will state in a little while, I'm going to go to Vayne's event, I actually believe Paladin Cecil is one of the most underrated characters in the game when it comes to their realization, so he's somebody that you may want to consider as well. Continuing with that, as I say, we get a new co-op mission, which we're bound to get various things, but we're also going to get 2 multi-draws, or we're going to get 3 multi-draws for the next 5, so that should cover Beatrix's event, the Vayne's Lost Chapter, and I believe we're going to get at least 1 banner from this banner as well. I originally thought that we were going to get Selfie from this, but that's evident that that's not going to happen, as we'll see with the Phoenix Cave, which will probably be the other event that we get a free pull, well, we get 2 free pulls for. But this one, people are like estimating that it might be Vincent, Sephiroth, and Cait Sith based on the mannequins that are in the picture that you see here. I'm not so sure. I think it's too until we actually see the banner, there's no way of us knowing exactly what it's going to be. But if you think that it's going to be those characters, let me know in the comments below if you're going to pull for them. And so we'll see, like, hopefully we'll get some more awakening resources from it, or some more, you know, realization stuff. This is something that we're desperately in need of, because we've got so many good characters coming up. As I said before, I did my recent video on, like, future pulls again, and there are so many characters that want realizing, and there's just not enough resources for it, and both Abyss and this should hopefully help a lot with that. Now, the first event that we're going to get past all the Spring Festival, all of this stuff that we don't necessarily know an awful lot about, is going to be Vayne's Lost Chapter on Thursday. Now, as somebody who has both Vayne and Paladin Cecil, this banner is one that I'm actually very excited about, despite the fact that we get a free multi-draw and it actually does nothing for me, because Vayne is very easily one of the strongest characters in the game at this point. He functions very similarly. He's like a single target version of Ultimecia. So where Ultimecia does AoE damage with Hell's Judgment, things like that really well, Vayne unbreaks and re-breaks and just gets free turns. He has auras. His EX realization I will go to in just a moment, but he's just a phenomenal character. If you don't already have Vayne, this is very much a banner you should be looking at. And as I said, I shall we'll have a look at their realizations in a moment. But Paladin Cecil is an extremely underrated character, and Vayne himself is just fantastic. And we're also going to be getting Vayne's Vayne Novus costume, which is pretty cool as well. I am kind of abstaining from buying costumes at the moment, certainly while we're in this sort of climate when no one really knows what money they're going to be making in the near future. But I've not been buying costumes for a little while now, but I do actually really like this costume, and as many of you are aware, Vayne is one of my favourite characters in Dissidia, so it'll be quite tough to resist. To quickly cover the event itself for Vayne's Lost Chapter, it's going to be a single target boss, which is going to be the Kirin, which we've seen before with Vayne's event when it first came out. But this one I shouldn't think would cause too many issues, given the characters that are going to be synergy for this. Vayne will absolutely dominate any single target boss. If you have Aranea, obviously she's going to do just as much as Vayne is. Put the two together and he's just never getting a turn. Otherwise, you want to kind of make sure you keep your health up at all times. So you want to have, basically, the Kirin's actually very strong. But because the whole event is built around delay, re-break, things like that. It's characters that increase your speed, characters that make it so that you've got delay, things like that. So Ishtola, Pinello, characters like that. Lael would be another really good one. Tifa would be another really good one. There are lots of characters that you could use. Just make sure you keep the Kirin's turns as far away from actually happening as physically possible. If you don't want to pull for Vayne, or you can't get Vayne, then characters with delay or launch will do you very well. So we're going to come over and have a quick look at Vayne's EX realisation, and it is phenomenal. Basically, what this will do will make it so that it hits more often. It also gives Conqueror's power. At the end of your turn, it raises your bravery. So after you've used regular Tree of Sephira, so if you've used Vayne before, you often realise that you actually want to use regular Tree of Sephira, not Tree of Sephira Plus, because you want the ability to just max out your Conqueror's power stacks straight away, so you get the 3 free turns afterwards. So this now makes it so that that is slightly better. You also get it so you start your quest with Conqueror's power and Consul's ingenuity, so you don't have to use Force of Will in order to get that buff straight away, which is really valuable. You can just go in with just HP pluses, because his HP plus is actually pretty solid. It raises his critical damage, he gets more max brave and attack, which is all he realistically needs. But when you 3 out of 3 Vayne's EX, you get the ability for his EX to do the same thing Force of Will does, which is cancel target's break status and then you re-break them with Tree of Sephira. The fact that 2 of his abilities do that is absolutely gargantuan. He also gets an overflow limit raise on all of his attacks, which is fantastic. He is just, no, he doesn't get much in terms of mechanics. He doesn't get a rework or anything, but he doesn't need one. All he needs is to hit harder, and he does that, and he actually gets more than he should by having the ability to cancel break status with his EX as well as Force of Will. Honestly, he's just a fantastic character. He might be one of my favourites, and I might be slightly biased, but ask anyone who plays this game. Vayne is not a character that you will regret putting ingots into. Now, with Cecil's Awakening, he does get a rework, and it's actually a pretty substantial one, if you ask me. So, Saint's Fall would originally only trigger its HP attack over 80%, it would only have 2 hits, but now it has a guaranteed HP attack. It's already got Brave Batterying as part of its kit. He gets 4 hits on it instead. It's got 150% Brave Overflow, and it makes it so that Light Slash, the Brave attack plus he gets out of it, also raises party bravery. So, Sessle, I'll get to what I think of Sessle at the end of this, but you'll see why I like him as we go. Holy Flame becomes an AoE Brave HP attack with split HP damage. It also has 150% max Bravery Overflow. It also, it heals everybody. His Luminous Blast, which is his HP plus attack, also gets 120% max Brave buff, and it actually hits quite frequently. And it also deals splash damage to other targets. He gets another Party Aura off of his level 68 passive, and his command ability, his C65, is a holy enchant for your entire party for 3 turns. And I think, with Bloomstone, he gets more uses out of it. He also gets Imperil from his EX as well. And then looking at the awakening or the realization of his EX, he also gets another max brave and attack party aura from using his EX for 5 turns. He also gets more brave overflow, all of that sort of stuff. He starts with both of his buffs that grant his HP and bravery pluses, and then at 3 out of 3 he also starts with his EX maxed out, always a good start, and it becomes a 6-hit holy Brave HP attack triggered twice. Bear in mind that it also adds Holy Imperil onto it. Quite honestly, when it comes to the EX shop, if you were considering Onion Knight, I would reconsider him and go for Sessle instead, because I personally believe Sessle is an extraordinary character that doesn't get used enough. I would like to use him for the Chaos, for the Abyss Normalis, and I'd also like to use him for DE9, because when you have his sort of party aura that can grant Holy, Cecil's not an especially fast character, but that means that you could pair him up with somebody like Vayne, and you've got Holy Imperil and Enchant on Vayne, and he's dealing crazy damage. Vayne has attack-based auras. Cecil's got party-based bravery and attack auras coming out of his backside. He heals, he bravery batteries, he hits really hard. I actually think that Sessle is a character that I would personally like to put ingots into, but admittedly, the reason he gets overlooked is because for the rest of this month, as we'll go on through the month, and you'll see, there are so many good characters coming out this month that we'll get to week by week, but there are so many must-have characters coming out that Sessle is going to take a backseat to some of these characters. But I actually really want to fully realise his weapon, because I do think that he's a character that people should look at more than they do. So now that we've covered all the stuff for this week, next Monday we've got another big old banner coming out with a free pull, which is going to be Beatrix's repurposed event. Now, I actually want to know if we've already finished Beatrix's event, whether we'll get the rewards for it again. I'm personally hoping so, and whether we'll be able to get stuff, because obviously more tickets, etc. is always going to be good. This event is going to have Beatrix's complete rework, it's going to have an EX realisation, and it's going to see the arrival of Steiner's EX. Now, Steiner's actually not a terrible character, and he's one of those characters that works relatively well with just a book and no ingots, so he's somebody you might want to consider. If you get him on a free pull, I wouldn't be mad about it. Beatrix does become a defensive powerhouse as well, like she has buffs coming out of every which way, and she actually hits extremely hard, and she has abilities that kind of cancel HP damage altogether, but I will cover these characters in greater detail next week. But Beatrix is another character that I would like to give a full realisation to as well, and like I said when coming to Sessle, you'll see why there are so many characters that want ingots this month. This event should be a really big one as well, and I'm kind of curious about these Steiner co-op stickers too. Now, this is an event that I didn't actually think that we were going to get. I thought it was going to be that Selphie would get her rework at the Spring Festival and that we wouldn't see the Phoenix event, but we are actually going to be getting it in the middle of next week. And that will come with 2 banners, both of which will come with the last 2 free multi-draws of the month. And the first one, I believe, should have Selphie, Noctis and Lys, and the other one should have Rosa, Agrius and Barrett. So if you've missed out on those characters, then this could be an opportunity for you to go and grab them. But it's going to have, like, you know, it's similar to a Heretic mission, but if you finish them, you unlock extra quests which give you missions that require certain colour crystal combinations. So that's, like, it's a little bit similar to Abyss, but it's not quite as strict. So you basically want to have a nice variety of characters, and the way that they're pushing the banners on this is that each of them is a different colour. So, what, you know, Selphie will be yellow, Barrett is red, Agrius is green, etc, etc. So you've got lots of different character combinations that you can use. And if you get any of these characters in a free multi-draw, honestly, other than Lys, I think you're going to be pretty happy about it. Alongside the Phoenix Cave, we're actually going to be getting Dimensions End Tier 9 as well. Now, Dimensions End Tier 9 is going to be really good for anyone that you pull pretty much this month or next month. So April and March's characters are all going to do really well here. If you've got Papalymo in the most recent banner, then that's going to do really well for you. Personally, I plan to use Paladin Cecil and Rosa as at least kind of a baseline to it, because the enemies are immune to defense down, but what they're not immune to is an imperil, which is why I mentioned Papalymo and Sessle. Both of them have really strong imperils and really strong uses of those imperils, so Onion Knight will also work here if you haven't used him already. And then you can also bring just anyone with high attack power. So I plan to bring Vayne along to this. If you haven't used Aranea already, then she'll do really well here, because you can use the Vital Crusher debuff to get around the fact that the enemies are immune to defense down. And then you want to have some level of healing. If you haven't used Pinello already, I haven't used Rosa yet because I wanted to use her for this particular mission. I've been planning to use Sessle and Rosa together for a little while, in case you hadn't noticed. Those 2 characters are going to work really well for it. But like I said, Pinello's really good. If you haven't used Ishtola already, she'll be really good. You want to, although you won't get defense down from Stone, but that's hardly the reason you use Stone. There's a lot of characters that you're going to want to use for this particular round, but I will go into greater detail for this event next week when we're nearer to the event. Now, following that event is going to be on April 15th, the next story chapter. Now, this story chapter looks like, with the picture, it looks like it's featuring Bart, and it's a lovely, pretty picture. I'm really happy with it, but it's not why we're looking at this event. This event brings General Leo as a new character and a rework for Galoof and his EX weapon. Both of these characters are absolutely phenomenal. Leo is like a slightly more defensive Aranea, where he brings like he brings 2-turn delays like Dragoon Dive does. He brings multi-attack hits, which will ironically work very well with Aranea's Vital Crusher. He's got auras, he's an extraordinary character, and he'll do very well for a very long time. So the combination of Vayne, Leo, and Aranea, you've got so many options with those three, it's not even funny. I would definitely recommend this banner. Galoof is also an extraordinary cover tank that actually works relatively well with other tanks. So if you have, say, Galoof and Zac could like make sure that everyone, like a provoke tank, everyone targets him with Apocalypse, and then Galoof can cover Zac and then counter everything that they do, and then your third character can do whatever the heck they want, and it's actually very, very fun to use. So Galoof is a character that I would very highly recommend, but also because it's a story chapter, hopefully we'll get a nice amount of resources from the chapter itself, which will help contribute towards pulling for Leo and Galoof. Annoyingly, this is where we stop getting the free pulls. Obviously, the guys knew that this is the one that we were all actually really going to want. So this one is definitely a banner that you want to be saving resources for. And on it, like I said, Sessle is like the 5th character down on the list. So you've got Vayne, Leo, Galoof, Beatrix, Sessle. That's how I would order those characters. But honestly, they're all fantastic. So this month is going to be pretty stringent on your resources, and next month is going to be even worse. So then on Monday, April the 20th, we're going to get Fran's Lost Chapter and the return of her nice little negligee outfit, which I'm sure lots of people are going to be buying. Fran's EX is actually very cool. It has a ranged imperil similar to how Irvin works, but on a much more debuff offensive-based kit. And she's actually a very nice character to have. She'll come back with Ash's banner. This is a banner that I will probably spend like a few tickets on, and like if I get one of them, great. If I don't, then I'm not going to be mad about it. If you go and look at my Future Pulls video, I sort of touted this banner as like a luxury banner. Like it's something where if you get the stuff from it, it's really nice, but there are other characters that are just going to take so much more precedence than these. And if you have ingots for these two after you've pulled for all the other characters this month, then you sure got a lot more ingots than I've got. So for Fran fans, she is really good, but she's like, for people who are wanting to pull for meta or anything like that, then she's not the top of the priority list, and Ash is even further down. And then lastly, on April the 23rd, we are going to be getting this mystery character who's not Exdeath, promise. Exdeath is actually a really interesting character. He's got a lot of unique debuffs. He drains HP damage over turns, and he doesn't actually have any bravery shaving attacks. He has, however, got an absolute butt ton of gravity-based attacks that all inflict really interesting debuffs. Exdeath is actually a character I would quite like to get, but again, the ingots from the other characters are just going to take precedence, and then the next event after Exdeath, who's also going to be accompanied by Gilgamesh, and unfortunately Gilgamesh gets better. He doesn't get better enough to warrant pulling for, really. And I already have Gilgamesh, so I know if I go for Exdeath, I'm going to end up getting Gilgamesh dupes left, right, and centre. But this will be a nice sort of like buffer to get resources back again after all of the stuff with the previous characters. I've already made my opinions clear on which characters people should be pulling for this month, but Exdeath is actually a very interesting character, and honestly, I don't think you'd be wrong to pull for him. He's just accompanied by a very lackluster character. And the week after this, which we won't see on the slides or anything until after the next community stream, is probably going to be the next level 70 Awakening batch, which will contain Hope and Shadow and Lightning. And they are all very good characters, so be cautious how you spend resources, because like I said, this month is going to be really strict on your resources unless you already have characters like Beatrix, Vayne, Sessle, etc. But the next month and the month after that are going to be, and from this point onwards, we're going to get barraged by really strong banners. So just be very careful how you spend your resources from this point onwards. So that's going to be it for the month of April for Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. As you can see, we've got a lot of really strong characters. If you haven't already pulled for Sessle or Vayne or Beatrix, then there's a lot to offer for this month, but it's also going to be quite a heavy drain on your resources if you don't already have a lot of those characters. Thankfully, a lot of these characters I already got the first time they came around, But that still doesn't exclude me from Leo and Galoof at the very least. And I'm obviously the last two banners I am kind of interested in, but knowing what's coming in May, June and July and onwards, it is going to be a very heavy drain on our resources from now on. Like I said, expect from this point onwards that you're going to have to be very careful with your resources because there's just so many good characters coming up in the near future. So let me know in the comments below what banners you plan to pull on, which events you're looking forward to, how you clear some of the stuff that's coming up this week. And I'm actually kind of curious as to what other people think of Paladin Cecil, because I know I speak very highly of him, but equally there are so many really strong meta characters that people are going to go for first that I wouldn't blame you if you weren't going to realise him or pull for him. And let me know as well who you plan to pick from the EX shop as well. As I said, plan to pull on Shantato because I don't know a lot of other options. And that's going to be it from me today. So like I said, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to check out all of my social media again, especially Twitch, because I've been really hammering it home with Twitch recently. And of course, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel and ring that bell for notifications. Thanks ever so much, everybody, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care.